The sky above Telros IV was dark and filled with smoke. Bright flashes of light from distant explosions lit up the shattered moon's surface. The once peaceful world had become a battlefield. In the middle of the chaos stood Bran, a human soldier, his armor scratched, and his face tired but determined. Bran looked around. The ground beneath him was cracked and covered in dust. His squad had been scattered, and the sound of gunfire echoed all around. His heart beat fast, but he kept calm. He had learned that fear only made a soldier slower and weaker. "Bran! Over here!" a voice called out. It was Mira, his closest friend and fellow soldier. She waved from behind a pile of broken rocks. Bran ran toward her, his boots kicking up dust. "We can't hold this position much longer," Mira said, wiping sweat from her forehead. "The Nullborn are pushing hard. If we don't find a way out soon, we're finished." Bran nodded. The Nullborn were fierce alien invaders who wanted to take over every planet in the galaxy. For months, humans and their allies had been fighting to stop them, but the battle was growing worse. Suddenly, Bran noticed something shining faintly near the edge of the battlefield. It was a strange light coming from under the rubble. Curious and careful, he moved closer. The light came from a small stone glowing softly with colors he had never seen before. "Look at this," Bran said, picking up the stone. It felt warm in his hand, almost alive. Mira came beside him. "What is it?" Bran shook his head. "I don't know, but it feels important." As the sounds of battle roared around them, Bran felt something strange inside. The stone seemed to listen to his thoughts and feelings. I wish this war could end. I wish someone could understand how precious life is, no matter who they are," Bran whispered. "Someone who can stop all this pain." The stone glowed brighter for a moment, then dimmed. Suddenly, the ground shook violently. A large explosion nearby sent dust and rocks flying. Bran and Mira covered their faces. When the dust settled, Bran realized the sky looked different. The stars shone clearer. The distant sounds of battle were quieter. "Did something happen?" Mira asked, eyes wide. Bran didn't answer. He looked at the glowing stone in his hand again. He felt hope, a feeling he hadn't known in a long time. On the other side of the galaxy, on the planet Theon, Princess Elira stood on the balcony of her palace. The air was cool and clean. Crystal towers rose around her, shining with soft, blue light. The Thai people were known for their beauty, intelligence, and calm minds. Elira was their future leader. She had been trained to control her emotions and think clearly, no matter what happened. But today, she felt strange. A sudden wave of warmth and sadness passed through her chest. She blinked and saw a vision, a man in worn armor, holding a glowing stone on a broken moon. "What is this feeling?" she whispered. Her advisor, Kaelin, came to her side. "Your Highness, are you well?" Elira shook her head slowly. "I see something, or someone, a human soldier. I feel his pain." Kaelin frowned. "This is troubling. The humans and Thai have been distant allies, but never this connected." Elira touched her chest. "It is more than connection. It is as if a part of his heart speaks to mine." Kaelin bowed. "We must tell the council." Back on Telros IV, Bran and Mira kept moving through the battlefield. They found other survivors from their squad. The news was good. The Nullborn forces were pulling back. The war seemed to slow down. "Maybe the war is ending," Mira said quietly. Bran looked at the stone in his hand. It was no longer glowing, but he felt a strange power inside it. "Maybe," Bran said. "Maybe the war will end because someone is changing." As night fell, Bran sat down on a rock and stared at the stars. The galaxy was huge and filled with unknown worlds. He had always believed humans were just one small part of it. But now, with the stone in his hand and a strange hope growing inside, Bran wondered if humans could change the fate of the stars. On Theon, Princess Elira could not sleep. The visions and feelings stayed with her. She dreamed of the human soldier and the broken moon. She woke early and stood by her window. The twin suns rose, painting the sky with gold. "I must find him," she said softly. Kaelin entered. "Find whom, Your Highness?" "The soldier, Bran. I do not know why, but I must meet him." Kaelin looked surprised, but nodded. "I will prepare a ship." Elira smiled for the first time in days. "Thank you, friend." Far away, Bran and Mira prepared to leave Telros IV. The war was not yet over, but something had changed. The fighting felt less cruel. Bran held the stone one last time. "I don't know if this is magic or luck," he said, "but I feel the universe is listening." Mira laughed softly. "You always did have a way with hope." Bran smiled. "Maybe hope is the strongest weapon we have." As their ship lifted from the dusty moon, Bran looked back once more. Somewhere in the galaxy, a princess was waking up to a new future, and Bran's wish was only just beginning to change everything. The planet Theon was unlike any other in the galaxy. Its sky shimmered with soft blue light, and its surface was covered in tall crystals that sparkled like stars. The air was clean and cool, and the sounds of peaceful rivers filled the valleys. This was the home of the Thyei, a proud and graceful people known for their wisdom and calm minds. Princess Elira stood quietly in the palace garden, surrounded by blooming flowers that glowed faintly in the twilight. She looked up at the stars, feeling a strange pull in her heart, a feeling she had never known before. It was a mix of sadness, hope, and something deep inside her that whispered of change. For many years, Elira had trained to be the perfect leader. She learned to control her emotions, to think clearly, and to keep her mind free from distractions. But now, strange visions filled her thoughts. Visions of fire, smoke, and a man in worn armor holding a glowing stone. She saw his tired eyes and felt his pain. She didn't know who he was, but somehow she knew he was important. "Elira, you have been here for hours," said Kaelin, her advisor, as he approached gently. Elira turned to him. "I can't stop thinking about him. The human soldier." Kaelin frowned slightly. "The humans are far away. Why do you think of him now?" "I don't know," she admitted. "But I feel connected to him, as if his hope is touching my soul." Kaelin looked worried. "This is unusual. The Thae do not usually feel such strong emotions for outsiders. It may confuse your mind." Elira nodded slowly. "Maybe, but I must find out more." That day, Elira met with the royal council. The elders listened carefully as she described her visions and feelings. Many of them were skeptical. "Princess," one elder said, "you are our future. You must stay focused on our people and the war. These visions may be a trick of the mind." But another elder spoke softly. "Perhaps this connection is a sign. The humans are our allies, but distant ones. Maybe they can help us more than we think." Elira left the meeting feeling torn. She wanted to trust her feelings, but feared what others might think. That night, her dreams took her back to the battlefield on Telros IV. She saw Bran again, his face full of hope despite the destruction around him. She reached out her hand, but the vision faded before she could touch him. When she woke, Elira decided she could not ignore the call in her heart. She needed to meet the human soldier. Meanwhile, Bran's ship moved swiftly through space toward the Theon system. The crew was tense but hopeful. The war was far from over, but a chance for peace was finally near. Bran sat in the cockpit, staring out at the stars. The glowing stone rested on the console, no longer bright but still warm. He could not forget the feeling it gave him, the hope that one small wish could change everything. "Mira," Bran said quietly, "do you think it's true? That one person's wish can change the galaxy?" Mira smiled gently. "I want to believe it is. We've fought so hard. Maybe this is our chance." Suddenly, the ship's sensors picked up a signal from Theon. A message came through, a formal invitation from the Thay Royal Council. Princess Elira herself would meet Bran on the surface. Bran's heart quickened. He did not know what to expect, but he knew this meeting could change everything. On Theon, the palace was alive with preparation. The council had agreed to welcome the human delegation, though some members remained uneasy. Elira wore a simple, silver robe that shimmered in the light. Her hair was tied back, revealing the calm strength in her eyes. As Bran's ship landed in the Crystal City, she waited in the grand hall. The doors opened, and Bran stepped inside, tired but determined. Their eyes met immediately. Bran felt a strange warmth spread through him. Elira's calm gaze softened, and she smiled, a small, genuine smile that spoke of hope and understanding. "Bran," Elira said quietly, "I have waited to meet you." Bran nodded. "Princess Elira, it is an honor." They began to talk. Words felt small compared to the connection growing between them. Bran told her about the war, about the wish he made in that dark chamber on Telros IV. Elira shared her visions and the strange feelings that had awakened inside her. Together they realized something incredible. The wish had not only changed Bran, but had reached across space to touch Elira's heart. Days passed, and Bran stayed in the palace. He watched as Elira's calm nature began to change. She laughed more freely and showed curiosity about things she had never cared for before. She asked questions about human life, about hope, and about fighting for what is right. The Royal Council watched closely. Some were impressed by the new spirit in their princess, but others whispered in worry. Change was not always welcome among. The Thay.1 council member, Lord Selen, approached Elira. "Your Highness, you must be careful. These feelings, this connection with a human soldier, could weaken you." Elira looked at him firmly. "No, Lord Selen. It makes me stronger. I see now that we must learn from others, not fear them." The council remained silent. One evening, Elira and Bran stood on the palace balcony, looking out at the twin suns setting over the Crystal Mountains. "Do you believe the war can end?" Elira asked. Bran looked up at the glowing sky. "I believe it must end, for all of us." Elira smiled. "Your wish brought us together. Maybe that is just the beginning." Bran nodded. "Maybe the galaxy is ready for something new." As the suns disappeared below the horizon, a gentle breeze carried the promise of change. Back on Telros IV, the war continued. But far away on Theon, hope had taken root. Bran and Elira's meeting was more than a chance encounter. It was a sign that even in the darkest times, a single wish and a brave heart could change the future, and the galaxy was watching. The great city of Theon shimmered under two moons, its crystal towers sparkling in the soft light. But far from the palace, at the edge of the city, a wide canyon called Karan's Rift stretched like a scar across the land. The rift was a dangerous place, full of jagged rocks and strange winds. It was here that the galaxy's leaders would soon gather to talk about peace. Bran's ship hovered over the dusty landing pad near the rift, its engines humming quietly. The peace talks were a chance to end the long war with the Nullborn once and for all. Humans, Thay, and other allied races would come together for the first time in many years. Bran stepped out of the ship and took a deep breath. The air smelled different here, clear, fresh, but filled with the weight of many years of conflict. He looked around, his eyes catching the first glimpse of Princess Alira approaching from the palace guards. Alira was dressed in simple robes, her hair tied back, but her presence was strong and calm. Bran felt a strange warmth as she came closer, but he said nothing. Words seemed too small. "Bran," Alira said softly, "the Council hopes we can find peace. But more than that, I hope we can understand each other." Bran nodded. "I hope so too. After all we've lost, it's the only way." The peace talks began with leaders from many planets taking their seats. The room was large and cold, filled with serious faces. Representatives spoke of past battles, losses, and fears. The tension was thick, but Bran and Alira spoke quietly, to each other, learning more about their worlds and their hopes. Alira asked questions about human soldiers, about bravery, and about why Bran had made the wish. "I wanted to believe there was more than war," Bran said, "that even in the darkest times hope could light the way." Alira smiled. "Your wish reached me, even across the stars. It changed something inside." As the talks continued, Bran noticed that Alira's eyes often glowed softly with the light of the strange emotions now alive in her. She was no longer just a princess following rules. She was becoming something new. That night, Bran and Alira walked together along the edge of Charon's rift. The stars were bright, and the wind whispered secrets through the rocks. "Why do you think the wish worked?" Alira asked. Bran thought for a moment. Maybe because it came from a place of true hope, not just desire. The stone listens to the heart, not words. Alira looked out over the rift. "I feel like my world is changing. I want to lead with kindness and strength." Bran smiled. "You already do." Suddenly, a loud alarm sounded. The council chamber was under threat. The Nullborn had sent a surprise attack to disrupt the talks. Chaos erupted. Guards rushed to protect the leaders. Bran and Alira moved quickly, helping others to safety. But the Nullborn ships were fast and fierce. Alira felt fear for the first time in many days. But beside her, Bran was steady, calm, and brave. She realized how much strength humans had, not just in battle but in spirit. The attack was brief, but intense. Thanks to Bran's quick thinking and the Thay defense systems, the Nullborn ships were driven away. After the battle, Alira looked at Bran. "You saved us." Bran shook his head. "We saved each other." The peace talks were paused, but the attack had done something unexpected. It brought the leaders closer. They saw that fighting would only bring more pain. Maybe it was time for a new way. In the Fee. Days that followed, Bran and Alira continued to work together. They shared stories of their worlds and dreams of peace. But not everyone was happy. Some council members whispered that Alira was changing too much. They worried her new feelings, made her weak. One day, Lord Selan approached Alira in private. "Your Highness, your heart is clouded. The humans are not like us. You must remember your duty." Alira's eyes flashed with quiet fire. "My duty is to protect my people, yes, but also to lead them into a better future." Lord Selan frowned, but said no more. Bran noticed the tension growing. He spoke to Alira gently. "Some fear change, but you have something they do not, the courage to hope." Alira smiled. "And you have shown me that no matter how different we seem, we share the same desire, peace." Together they prepared to face whatever would come next, knowing their bond was more than chance. It was the beginning of something greater. As the moons rose high over Charon's rift, the galaxy waited and watched. A human soldier and an alien. Princess were showing that even in war, hope could grow, and with hope, anything was possible. Days passed after the attack at Charon's rift. The peace talks were postponed, but the hope between Bran and Princess Alira remained strong. They spent long hours speaking about their worlds, their dreams, and the future they both wanted, a future without war. Elira noticed something new happening inside her. Feelings she had never allowed herself before were growing stronger. She laughed more freely, felt curiosity about simple things like the stars and the colors of the forest. She even felt anger at the injustice of war, something the Thai had always tried to control, but this change worried many in the royal court. The Thay people were known for their calm minds and controlled emotions. Emotions were seen as weaknesses, distractions from reason. Elira's new feelings made some fear she was losing her way. One morning, as the sun rose over the Crystal Mountains, Elira sat with her closest friend, Mirael, in the palace garden. "Elira," Mirael said gently, "you seem different. Your heart is restless." Elira sighed. "I feel alive, Mirael. It is strange, but good." Mirael nodded, but her eyes showed concern. "The council watches you closely. They fear this change." Elira looked away. "They do not understand. I feel as if I am waking up." Meanwhile, Bran returned to his duties as a soldier, but remained close to Elira. He saw the struggle in her eyes, the fight between the calm princess she once was, and the vibrant person she was becoming. One evening, Bran found Elira alone in the palace library. She was studying ancient texts about the Wishing Stone and the forgotten civilizations that once used it. "Do you believe the stone really listens to wishes?" Elira asked, her voice soft. Bran smiled. "I believe it listens to hope, and hope can be stronger than any weapon." Elira looked at him, her eyes shining. "You gave me a gift, a new way to see the galaxy. But now I feel torn. My people expect me to be one thing, but I am becoming another." Bran took her hand gently. "Change is never easy, but it is necessary." News of Elira's transformation spread through the palace like wildfire. Some council members began to speak openly against her. Lord Sellen, a powerful and cautious man, gathered other elders in secret. "Elira's feelings make her weak," he said. "If she continues, she will endanger the Thay." Another elder nodded. "She must return to Theon immediately. Her contact with humans must stop." A plan was made to recall Elira and cut her off from Bran and the humans. The day Elira received the recall order was heavy with sadness. She stood in the grand hall, surrounded by the council members. "Your Highness," Lord Sellen said sternly, "for the safety of our people, you must return home. Your feelings have clouded your judgment." Elira stood tall. "I serve my people, yes, but I will not abandon hope. I will not turn away from what I have learned." The council murmured in disagreement. Lord Sellen raised his voice. "This is not a request." Elira's eyes met his, steady and strong. "I will return, but I will not forget what I have become." Back in her private chambers, Elira packed a small bag. She felt the weight of duty and the weight of her new self. Bran came to say goodbye. "Will I see you again?" he asked softly. Elira smiled sadly. "I do not know, but our worlds have touched, and that cannot be undone." Bran nodded. "No matter what happens, you have changed everything." They stood in silence for a moment, the future uncertain, but their connection real. As Elira prepared to leave, the Nullborn forces grew stronger, pushing closer to Theon's system. The war was far from over. Elira's heart burned with determination. She knew the path ahead would be hard, but she was no longer the same princess. She was ready to face whatever came next. Bran watched her leave, holding the memory of her smile. He knew their story was only beginning. The stars above the planet Theon twinkled softly, but the peace the people once knew had grown fragile. The Nullborn threat loomed closer each day, their dark ships moving like shadows toward the bright crystal cities. The war had changed many lives, but none more than Bran and Princess Ellyra. After her return to the royal palace, Ellyra found herself caught between two worlds. The council's orders weighed heavily on her shoulders. They expected her to lead, as before, calm, controlled, and distant from the humans. But inside her heart, a fire of hope and change burned brighter. She spent many hours alone, walking through the quiet gardens, thinking about Bran and the wish that had started everything. She missed him deeply. The connection they shared was rare and powerful. It gave her strength but also pain because they were apart. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the crystal towers, Ellyra received an unexpected visitor. Kaelin, her loyal advisor, came with news. "Your Highness," Kaelin said quietly, "there is something you must see." Ellyra followed him to a private chamber deep within the palace. There, on a large table, lay an ancient map and several strange artifacts. These were found in the ruins of an old Thai temple, Kaelin explained. Among them is a message, one that speaks of the wishing stone and its power to change fate. Ellyra's eyes widened. "Could it be the same stone Bran carries?" Kaelin nodded. "It appears so. The stone is part of our history, forgotten but never lost." Ellyra picked up one of the artifacts, a small crystal shard that glowed faintly. "This is more than a weapon or tool," she said. "It is a symbol of hope." Meanwhile, far from Theon, Bran and his squad prepared for their next mission. The Nullborn had launched new attacks on nearby planets. The war was not over, and the human soldiers knew they had to fight to protect their homes and allies. Bran often thought of Ellyra. Her courage and kindness gave him hope, even in the darkest moments. The glowing stone still rested in his pocket, a quiet reminder that sometimes wishes could change the course of destiny. One night, as Bran looked up at the stars, his comm unit crackled with a message from Theon. The princess herself had sent a request. A secret meeting to discuss a plan that could end the war. Bran's heart raced. This was more than he had hoped for. Back on Theon, Ellyra prepared for the meeting in secret. She knew the council would not approve. Many feared her connection to Bran and the humans. But Ellyra was determined. The ancient message had given her new hope, a plan that could unite their strengths against the Nullborn. In a hidden chamber beneath the palace, Ellyra and Bran met for the first time since her return. "Bran," she said, her voice steady, "we cannot fight this war alone. The Wishing Stone is a symbol of unity. Together we can find a way to end the conflict." Bran nodded. "I believe in that, Ellyra. I believe we can change the future." They pored over the ancient map and texts, discovering clues about the stone's true power. It was not just a talisman, but a key to something greater, a power that could protect the galaxy if used wisely. But their hope did not go unnoticed. Lord Sallyn and other council members watched from the shadows. They saw Ellyra's secret meetings with Bran as dangerous and rebellious. One night, Sallyn confronted Ellyra in the palace halls. "Your Highness," he said coldly, "you risk everything by trusting humans. The council will not allow this." Ellyra stood firm. "I trust my heart and the future I see. This war will not end with fear and hate." Sallyn's eyes narrowed. "Then you leave us no choice." The tension in the palace grew. Ellyra and Bran's alliance was a secret that could change the fate of Theon and the galaxy. Ellyra's mind raced with thoughts of peace, hope, and the sacrifices that might be needed. Bran, too, prepared for the challenges ahead. He knew the war would not end with words alone. They would need courage, unity, and strength. As dawn broke over the Crystal City, a new chapter began. The soldier and the princess were no longer just two people from different worlds. They were the spark of hope the galaxy needed. Together, they would face the shadows of the past and fight for a brighter future. The days on Theon grew tense and quiet. The crystal towers reflected the soft light of the twin suns, but beneath their beauty, unrest brewed. Princess Illyra's secret meetings with Bran had become more frequent, and whispers of their alliance spread through the palace halls like a slow wind. Illyra stood by her window, watching the sky darken as the second moon rose. Her heart was heavy with both hope and worry. She knew that the war with the Nullborn was far from over, but she believed that together they could find a way to stop the fighting. Her thoughts were interrupted by a gentle knock. Kaelin, her loyal advisor, entered quietly. His eyes held concern. "Your Highness," he said softly, "the council grows restless. They demand to know your plans." Illyra turned away from the window. "I must be careful. If they discover Bran's involvement, it could end everything." Kaelin nodded. "You are brave to carry this burden alone." Illyra smiled faintly. "Hope is worth the risk." That night, under the cover of darkness, Bran's small team landed secretly near the palace. The humans had been careful not to attract attention, knowing that many on Theon still mistrusted them. Bran met Illyra in a hidden garden filled with glowing flowers. The air was cool, and the stars twinkled above like distant fires. "Illyra," Bran said quietly, "we need to act soon. The Nullborn grows stronger every day." Illyra nodded. "The ancient texts speak of a place, the heart of Theon, a place where the stone's power can be unlocked." Bran looked at her in surprise. "The heart of Theon?" "It is a sacred site, hidden deep beneath the crystal mountains," Illyra explained. "If we can reach it, maybe we can use the wishing stone's full power to protect our worlds." Bran's eyes shone with hope. "Then we must find it." The next days were filled with secret preparations. Bran's team worked with Thay scouts to plan a journey to the heart of Theon. The path was dangerous, filled with treacherous cliffs and narrow tunnels. Illyra insisted on joining them despite the council's warnings. She felt that her place was with those who fought for peace. Before they left, Illyra met with Kaelin one last time. "Promise me you will be careful," Kaelin said, his voice full of worry. "I will," Illyra replied, "but I cannot stay behind while others risk everything." As the small group entered the mountain paths, Bran felt a mix of excitement and fear. The landscape was beautiful but harsh. Crystals that glowed softly lit their way, and strange echoes filled the tunnels. Illyra walked beside Bran, her hand brushing against the glowing stone she carried. She felt its warmth and power, and it gave her strength. Suddenly, a low rumble shook the mountain. Rocks fell from above, blocking their path. "We must find another way," Bran said quickly. Illyra nodded, looking at the narrow tunnel to the right. "This way." The group moved carefully, the path growing darker and tighter. Hours passed, and the air grew colder. At last, they reached a large cavern filled with sparkling crystals. In the center stood a pedestal with ancient markings, the heart of Theon. Illyra stepped forward, holding the wishing stone above the pedestal. The crystals around them began to glow brighter, and a soft hum filled the air. Bran watched as the stone's light grew until it filled the entire cavern. Suddenly, a voice echoed inside their minds, a calm, wise voice speaking in the ancient Thaye language. "Those who seek peace with hope in their hearts shall be the guardians of this galaxy." Illyra and Bran looked at each other, understanding the meaning. The stone's power was real, and it chose those who believed in unity. Back in the palace, the council had discovered Illyra's absence. Lord Selon was furious. "She has betrayed us," he declared. "Her foolish actions put us all in danger." Other council members nodded, preparing to act. But before they could move, Elira and Bran returned. The glow of the heart of Theon surrounded them, and the air felt charged with new energy. Elira stood tall before the council. "I have seen the truth. The wishing stone is not a weapon, but a symbol of hope and unity. We must stand together, Thay and humans, to end this war." The council fell silent, sensing the change in her. Lord Sellen stepped forward, his face hard. "Your Highness, you risk everything on a wish." Elira met his gaze calmly. "It is not just a wish. It is a promise to protect our people and to bring peace." The moment was tense, but then a loud alarm sounded. Nullborn ships had launched a new attack on the planet's outskirts. Bran and Elira exchanged a glance. There was no time to waste. Together with the Council's reluctant support, they led the defense. The power of the Wishing Stone seemed to strengthen the Thay forces and human soldiers alike. The battle was fierce but shorter than expected. The Nullborn were pushed back, their ships retreating into the darkness of space. After the battle, the leaders gathered once more. The Council, seeing the strength in unity, agreed to renew the peace talks with Bran and Elira as their representatives. The galaxy's hope had been rekindled. Elira turned to Bran, her eyes shining. "We did this together." Bran smiled. "Together we can change everything." As the twin moons rose once again, a new promise was made. Not just between two people, but between worlds. The human soldier and the alien princess were no longer alone. They carried the future of the galaxy in their hands, united by hope and the power of a single wish. The great hall of the palace was filled with leaders from many worlds. The peace talks had resumed, this time with hope stronger than ever before. Bran stood beside Princess Elira, both ready to face the future. For months, the galaxy had lived, in fear of the Nullborn's relentless attacks. But now, a new strength had been born, one that came not from weapons or armies, but from trust and unity. Elira looked out over the crowd, her heart steady. She had changed so much since the day Bran made his wish. The hope in her soul had grown into a light that could no longer be hidden. Bran's eyes met hers. In that moment, no words were needed. Together, they had carried the dream of peace across stars and dangers. The first speaker was the elder from the planet Velta, a calm and wise being. "We have fought long and hard. The time has come to lay down our weapons and build a future, together." Others nodded, their faces tired but hopeful. Bran stepped forward. "The Nullborn are strong, but so are we, when we stand as one. The Wishing Stone showed us that hope is a power greater than fear." Elira continued. "Our worlds are different, but our dreams are the same. Peace is not a simple thing, but it is possible. We must choose to believe." The talks lasted days, filled with difficult questions and honest words. Old wounds were discussed, fears were shared, but slowly, trust grew. Outside, the skies were clear, and the stars seemed to shine brighter. One evening, after a long day, Elira and Bran walked on the palace terrace. The city lights sparkled beneath, them like a sea of fireflies. "Elira," Bran said softly, "this journey has changed me. I never thought a single wish could change so much." Elira smiled. "It was not just your wish. It was the hope inside both of us." Bran looked at the glowing stone in her hand. "What will happen now?" "We build," Elira said. "We build peace, friendship, and a future where no one fears the night." But peace was not yet complete. The Nullborn, though pushed back, had not disappeared. Rumors of their new leader, a fierce commander named Varkon, spread through the galaxy. Varkon was said to be stronger and more dangerous than any before. Bran and Elira knew they had to prepare. In the following weeks, they gathered allies from many planets. Soldiers trained together, ships were repaired, and defenses strengthened. But alongside the preparations, a message came from Varkon himself, sent through the cosmic network. "Stop your talks of peace," the message said, "or face the full fury of the Nullborn." Elira read the message aloud to the council. "He fears what we have started. That means we are on the right path." Bran nodded. "Then we must be ready, not for war, but to protect what we have gained." The final test came soon enough. A fleet of Nullborn ships appeared near Theon's orbit, dark and threatening. The Allied forces moved swiftly, with humans, Thae, and others united in a single command. The battle was fierce. Explosions lit the stars, and the sound of lasers and engines filled the void. But in the center of the fight, Bran and Elira stood together, their courage shining. Elira held the wishing stone high, its light spreading across the battlefield. The Nullborn ships faltered, their attacks weakening. Bran led the charge, his voice steady as he commanded the Allied fleet. Slowly, the Nullborn began to retreat. After the battle, the galaxy held its breath. The Nullborn had not been destroyed, but their power was broken. The leaders gathered once again, this time to sign the Treaty of Unity, a promise to end the wars and protect peace forever. Elira and Bran stood side by side as the treaty was signed. "We have learned that hope is stronger than hate," Elira said. "That together we are unstoppable," Bran smiled. "And that a single wish can change the stars." Years later, the galaxy remembered the soldier who made a wish and the princess, who was never the same. Their story became a legend, told across planets and generations. Peace grew, new friendships blossomed, and the stars no longer held fear, but promise. Elira looked at the sky, now filled with peaceful light, and whispered, "Thank you." Bran stood beside her, ready for whatever new adventures awaited, because their wish was only the beginning.